Hey everyone, welcome to the Heart-Centered Millionaire. This is your host Ruben, and honestly, I'm really excited today because number one, we have an amazing guest, but number two, the guest here on the show today is actually my personal mentor and the person who runs a really great company that helps a lot of 6- and 7-figure entrepreneurs. So without further ado, Austin, let's dive into who you are, what you do, and we'll get everyone introduced to you.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, Ruben, appreciate you having me on, man. Love what you're doing. First time we chatted, I was like, oh man, this guy's got some lives to change. And I love to see every week, every month, literally every day, as we were talking about before we pressed record, you out there changing some lives. So good on you for doing what you're doing, man.
Oh, thank you. No, it honestly means the world. And we'll dive into this probably later. But for a lot of you guys who are listening, the reason that right now we have not only doubled our business in 2020, but we'll probably continue to, and double the impact that we're making, which is what we're all about, is because of Austin and what he's taught me. And so I'm excited to dive into that because if he can help me do it, I'm sure he can help some of you guys do it as well. So I'm really curious, and I know parts of your story, Austin. Obviously, the audience doesn't yet.
Yeah.
So walk me through a little bit of what led you into getting into this role as an entrepreneur, serving 6- and 7-figure and sometimes 8-figure entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
What was like the path that got you there? So everyone kind of knows where you came from, basically.
So I started out, went to college and got my engineering degree. And I had this, I was 18 years old and I had this map and I thought it was brilliant. I was like, oh, this is going to work. I was going to get my engineering degree. I wasn't going to really do engineering, but I wanted like a good fundamental understanding of like factories and how that works, because my mind always went to this big corporation and I saw this factory and then I saw salespeople and I saw this corporate office or whatever. Like that's the only thing that I knew. So I wanted to get my engineering degree, which I did. I wanted to get some sales experience, which I did. And then I wanted to go back and get my MBA, and I was getting ready to do that. And I was like, wait a minute. There's not anybody in this company, and I worked for an amazing company, like a Fortune 3, Fortune 4 oil company down in Houston, Texas, and I really enjoyed it, but there was a big piece missing. I didn't have any contribution. Like I was,
Right.
I was not making the world better. I didn't feel like I was making the world a better place. So I was making great money. And I was getting ready to go back and get my MBA and like work my way up the corporate ladder with that trifecta that I planned when I was 18. And I was like, again, I'm not jealous of any of these managers. I don't want to be there. So there has to be another way. And I started to learn about entrepreneurship. And I was like, okay, this is for me. I can create this amazing life and have this freedom and be able to travel and be able to make an impact and make big money and like all these things.
Right.
And I learned about this allure of entrepreneurship. The bad thing is, Ruben, as we know, most people don't achieve any of those things, the freedom, the money, much impact, all those things, let alone all of them. So long story short, I started my first business when I was on the side, but that was the same thing. It was a day trading company. It was me and the machine. There was no contribution element. I was making a lot of money and that was great. But then I made money and I was like, okay, what's next? So anyhow, I went from one business to the next, and ultimately realized that there had to be something that I was doing where I was giving back, where I was feeling this sense of contribution, where I was changing lives and leading people. And ultimately that led me to 2X. So I went through an agency that I created, another online business that was teaching entrepreneurs how to start and build their business. And then I learned, okay, my people are the people that already have some traction, that I can help take them to the next level. Like you already had a strong 6-figure business and you were like, hey, I'm doing these things great. I know there's another level. How do I get there? That's the people that I found. So long story short, started in the corporate world, started a couple businesses to ultimately find my path. A lot of people think, we spend so much energy, I myself did the same thing, of trying to find that perfect fit. Like, what am I going to be when I grow up? What is like, can I really sink my teeth into? And I went from business to business to business. It wasn't until my 5th business, which is now 2X, that I was like, boom, this is it. This is what I'm going all in on. This is what I want to spend the next, 50 years on.
Totally. And the thing I love about this, and it's funny because when I talk to a lot of young entrepreneurs, they feel guilty that they jump around so much from one thing to the other to the next. And the thing I always tell, entrepreneurs is like, give yourself time to try out all these things, right? Because
Absolutely.
most people, and it was lots of times the guilt comes from family or friends. I know I had people, literally, I had, hopefully my old pastor doesn't listen to my podcast, but he once told me, Ruben, you're not committed enough to do anything really great in life. And I was like, what? And I said, no, I don't believe you, but I kind of did, because I had jumped around. I had like done like 5 different jobs. I tried this business, that, marketing, whatever it was. And I mean, for the person that's listening to this, because most people listening to this are in that probably under 20K per month, brand new to there. And a lot of them have been jumping around a little bit, trying to find that clarity. And I mean, speak to that a little bit. Is it a bad thing to jump around and figure it out? Or is that exactly what they should be doing?
Yeah, it's an amazing question. And the answer is complex. And the answer is it depends, right? For me, I needed that. I needed the stepping stones from one thing to the next, because I wasn't a big risk taker, that I was like, okay, I'm going to do this thing that's right in front of me and start there, knowing that I'm not going to be doing it 20 years from now. And I'm just going to do that to my best of my ability. And I'm going to know that doors are going to open up. But everything, I went from day trading to an online blog and podcast that was teaching people about money and the mindset. So that one was related. And then I went to an agency that wasn't really related. Then I went to an online business that wasn't really. So at the time, making these jumps didn't make any sense, but now it's led to everything that we're doing. So the best thing that you can do is look at where you at, where do you want to be long-term? And don't say, you know, I don't want to be a millionaire, or just general things. Get really clear on what you want. I was like, okay, I want to impact a ton of lives. I want to be investing in different businesses. I want to learn about, you know, some topics that like I would like just get so fired up to, because I had financial wins that I didn't have to do it for the money. But I like the idea of trying a couple different things to see. But the problem that a lot of people get into is they do that for decades. No, you want to do that for a couple years, and then really start to sink your teeth into something. But just take off some of the pressure of yourself trying to figure it out right now. Because like, especially people in their 20s and even early 30s, that's a lot of people are thinking, what do I want to be when I grow up? Like, take a little bit of pressure off yourself and just learn and experience different things. And then slowly those pieces will all come together and it'll all make sense in hindsight. But the best thing that you can do is move forward and fail and take some risks. And that'll open up a whole new world for you if you do that.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. And I remember my first years of entrepreneurship really feeling guilty about it. And that actually, I think, hindered me from trying the next thing. And then I would go back to a job and be like, okay, I should do a job. Or I went back to school because, like I tried that and it didn't work out. I think that's so good. Take the pressure off, but also maybe have like a bigger deadline of like, in the next 5 to 10 years, I do want to have something figured out. So it's not like just ethereal and it could keep on going forever, right?
Yeah, definitely. 100%. And one thing that you did and every successful entrepreneur has done is fail. So instead of having so much pressure on you to kind of figure out exactly what you want to do, actually look at, and it's kind of crazy to think this, but if I was doing it all over, I would be leaving the corporate world and I would say to myself, okay, in the next 2 years, I'm going to do these couple things. I'm going to fail in a very big way. I'm going to try a couple of different things and see what I like and don't like about business. And ultimately that will give me the clarity. But having failures is like a key thing. You don't want to purposely fail, but you want to take the action that you know that you're going to fail. I fail every single day, obviously every single week, but like even now we're actually failing in pretty big ways every single month. And we're, you know, a multi-7-figure business. So, looking at that, because those are the best lessons that teaches you really what you want, really what you need to do differently, and really what the opportunities are. So taking action again is kind of the key.
No, I love this. And I want to circle back to one of the things you talked about before, which you talked about contribution and kind of that purpose, fulfillment, maybe some people call it calling kind of thing. Because I think, I mean, there's some entrepreneurs that feel like really are in it just for having a business, having money. But I feel like there's a massive portion, and we call them heart-centered entrepreneurs, that they want to do it for something bigger than themselves and even bigger than the necessary business that they're building. And I'm curious for you, how important is it for you personally to do what you do from a heart-centered standpoint, and maybe even talk about what that means for you?
It's everything. It's everything. I've had multiple businesses. Like, look, if I wanted to make money, the last business that I would start is a consulting company. Like, not the last, but it would be definitely the bottom 10%. I had a day trading company purely to make money. And that was very clearly my intention. And I knew it wasn't going to be like the long-term thing, but I very clearly wanted to get out of debt, have financial freedom, and make a certain amount of money to just like feel good. Because I didn't grow up with a lot of money. So whatever business you have, be very clear about the intention, right? So long story short, that didn't have any contribution that I feel like, okay, that was a gap. Boom. How am I going to fix that in the future? And that's why I started a blog and podcast to kind of start that. And then over time, things shifted till I had everything that I really wanted with 2X. But the thing with being heart-centered and making that contribution, the thing that I want you to think about, or everybody listening, is who are the people that you want to serve? Who are the people that you really care about? Who are the people that you want to just set up to win in life? Because when most people are starting out, they're like, wait, that person has $1,000. I'm in, I'll take it, you know? And they work with people that are not that audience. And then now they're in a business just to make some money and just to pay the bills, which we've got to do at the beginning to learn and grow and just kind of get some traction. But as quickly as humanly possible, if you can get clear on that audience, that makes everything else better. Now, I love our audience. Like you, I'm messaging you on Messenger randomly, say, hey, checking in, how you doing? We talk about you all the time behind the scenes. Like everybody on our team, A to Z, every single part of the company loves our audience and wants to serve that audience. And that has us coming from the right place. So that's the biggest thing I found, because if I look at the marketing agency that I had before, if I look at the online business that I had, I was not working with the people that I really, really, really wanted to serve, the people that had the same values, that had the same intentions and whatever. And that made everything else so much more toxic for our entire team, for me, for our products, for our profitability, for everything. So that's a big thing to get to.
That makes sense.
You've got to get out there and see what the right product is that you can serve, and figure out what that right audience is. But like the audience has to be key. And if you do that, then you truly do come from a place of giving a darn and having the right intentions. And that makes everything else, everybody's set up to win.
Oh, for sure. And I think the two extremes, and maybe they're not extremes, but the two things I see a lot with hearts and entrepreneurs is, number one, they never really figure out the business side and therefore they go out of business. And then there's the hearts and entrepreneurs who they kind of have to chase the short plays to make a living, but that doesn't fulfill them. And therefore they like almost turn not heart-centered. It's like, then they're just in it for the money because they're trying to survive. And this is where, I mean, we always talk about heart-centered and business savvy, because we truly believe when someone becomes business savvy, they can lead from the heart the best, because they're financially free, they have the time and availability to do it, etc. So let's dive into business savvy. And I know that's kind of like some nice lingo for it, but more in general, it's like business basics is probably a better way of saying it. For entrepreneurs, and I always talk about unsexy truths of business, what are some of those, especially for someone maybe they're making 5K, 10K per month, what are some business basics that are probably not thinking about a lot that could actually be big levers in their businesses?
Yeah. The first thing that comes to mind is our Model 1 framework. This is basically a simple way, 5 elements to see if you have product market fit. And when you're at the beginning stages, you're 5, 10, even up to 20K per month, this is where you want to be, because as soon as you get here, now we can start to talk or have enough money to start to invest in your team and really starting to grow. But a lot of people struggle to ever get there. So product market fit is a really big thing. So what our Model 1 framework is are you selling the right people, the right stuff at the right price with the right positioning in a way that can scale? All right, let me say this again. Are you selling to the right people, the right stuff at the right price with the right positioning in a way that can scale? So the first step of that is what we were just talking about, the right people. Who is the right audience that you want to serve? Most people, especially those starting out, are just too broad, right? They're trying to go too big of an audience. We've got to get really narrow and really niche on that right audience. Then we've got to look at, for that particular audience, that specific avatar, who or what are the right products to offer. And a lot of people have too many products. Look, we had one offering, one offering for the first 18 months of the business, actually almost 2 years of the business.
Okay.
One offering at one price point, keep things very simple. And we were able to get, to the 7-figure range. And now we have 2 products, and we're 2.5 years old, and we're a multi-million-dollar business headed to $10 million. We've got 2 products, and they're very similar. So you don't have to have a lot of products. So right people, right stuff, right price. A lot of people, especially heart-centered entrepreneurs, have too low of a price. So work with people on that, which is a key. So you got to get the price dialed so that it makes sense, that you've got profit, so that you can hire people, yada, yada. Then we've got to look at positioning and making sure that you are the go-to and that you're really speaking to that person's pain points and needs and desires and dreams and real life situation. And then doing so in a way that can scale. A lot of people are starting out are either by themselves or they've got a very small team that everything is built around them. That's okay until you get to about 20K per month. And then it's like, okay, how do we turn it into a real business and get you out of the weeds? And that's what we help people with. But you do such a good job of helping people with those things. So just to reiterate, we've got to sell the right people and get really clear on that. The right stuff, make irresistible offer and make it very simple and clear and not have too many at the right price. Make sure that you're profitable and you're really charging the right amount. With the right positioning, again, being the authority for that particular audience and niche, and doing so in a way that can scale. So if you do those 5 things, you are going to be in an incredible spot. Most people don't take the time on that, or they think that they're good on this when we spend a lot of time. Ruben, we've been working together for a long time. Every month in some way, shape, or form, we're coming back to this framework as well, because it's something that can take you to many millions of dollars. We ourselves do it all the time ourselves.
No, and I'm going to give, this is like a slight plug for you, but like when I came to Austin, I had some higher months of 40K, but we're averaging probably more around 20K. And the biggest thing, I was chasing after every shiny object, tactic, hack, quick fix. One of the things I loved from what you've always talked about is playing the long game, and basically that the best in business are best at the basics. And when I actually looked at my product suite, I had 2 offerings at the time. We actually cut it back to 1. When I looked at our price point, we raised it a little bit. When I looked at our positioning, we changed it. And we weren't in a way that could scale. We changed it to a way that could scale. When I worked on those literally Model 1 things, from when we started working together, which was almost a year ago. So in a year, we went from 20K months to we just had an 120K month.
Yeah.
And we're on track to do a lot more than that by in a year. But the reason I said this, I mean, number 1, plug for you, but number 2, we didn't actually change anything on our lead generation, marketing, or sales process.
Yeah.
Nothing at all. Obviously I probably got better at marketing just by doing it more. I probably got better at sales by just doing it more. But it was literally it was the opposite. I remember on our first call, you said, you asked me, what's your biggest problem? I said, lead generation. You said, no, it's not. And I was like, this guy thinks he knows what's up, but it's true. Anyway, so I won't dive too much into
this is a really important point.
Okay.
So we have been talking for what close to 20 minutes now.
Yeah.
That statement that you just said was the first time that we've mentioned the word sales and marketing. So you 6x'd, and we've talked very little about sales and marketing. And so many people think that's all that they need. Everybody comes to us and says, and they do the same for you, is I just need more leads. If you help me get more leads, I'm good. And we're like, no. If you get these couple things right, it's the basics, some of the things that you're avoiding, the Model 1 stuff, knowing a couple of your numbers, knowing your financials, some of the maybe more boring things. If you get those right, that unlocks everything else and starts to make marketing and sales so much easier and so much more profitable. So it's a very important point that I wanted to come back. But you trusting in that process and following through that is huge. And by doing so, you're in the position that you're in.
Oh, totally. And it's not easy. It's not easy to, basically you have to detox your mind from everything you see online. Like literally, you basically have to you've been indoctrinated with online marketing telling you one thing. When you look at business, and now business has been run for hundreds of years, there's a lot of wisdom that really can be gained from a lot of that. And actually, I want to, since we're on kind of a roll here with kind of what you guys are doing, I did want to give you a bit of a space and time to talk about the book that you just released, because number 1, I loved it. I actually sent it to a bunch of my team members who absolutely loved it. So talk a little bit about that, give a bit of a plug, because I want all of our listeners to be able to check that book out.
Yeah, sweet. Well, I always got a copy handy. It's called From 6 to 7 Figures. Ruben is actually featured in it, but now that he's at 120 a month and higher. We got to update the book to update some of those
Exactly.
numbers.
Updated version.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we have that planned, but that's super cool. So the book is from 6 to 7 figures. It outlines the 7 steps to ultimately make the leap from. So if you're at low 6 figures or even mid 6 figures, it's a perfect guide to show you, hey, how do we have the book, or how do we have your business be, instead of you trading time for money and really built around you, to really turn it into a real business, one that can really scale to multi-millions and whatnot. These are the frameworks that we use in our 2X growth program. And we work with entrepreneurs all over the globe. We work with 6, 7, 8, even 9-figure entrepreneurs, but most of our clients are between, a couple 100,000 per year and about 5 million per year. So these are the strategies that we use. It's about simplifying and making your business really, really streamlined and simple. It's about dialing in your operations and making sure that things are a machine. We talk a bunch about systems, which we haven't talked about yet today, but systems are the key to set you free. They're the key to repeatability. They're the key to being able to delegate, have your team set up for success, yada, yada. It's a huge thing to really learn about systems as you make the leap from getting to low 6 figures to higher. And then ultimately, once you do have an operational machine, then we can talk about growth and some of the sales and marketing strategies to really drive to do growth. But there's an order to things. Again, I've worked with hundreds of businesses now. And I've seen it's very, very important, that order that you approach things, because if you go in straight and you start working on marketing before you have a good irresistible offer, before you really know who your ideal target audience is, or before you have, a scalable offering, you're just going to create a lot of headaches for yourself. You're going to lose a lot of money. You're not going to have good conversions. And then you're going to sit there and wonder why. And this is where most people are. So we've got to take a step back. We've got to take things in the proper order, build the right foundation, build an operational machine, and then drive growth. And if we do that, again, you're going to get more momentum than ever. And you're a true testament to that process.
No, I love that. So we will have a link in the show notes, guys, if you guys want to check out the book. I highly recommend getting it. Even if you're not quite at 6 figures, get it so that as soon as you hit it, you can read it, basically.
Actually, Ruben, as a bonus to you and appreciation for you, let's give it to people for free. Like, I'll cover the cost. So you can go to scale2x.com/friend. That's a private link, scale2x.com/friend. Ruben, you can put that up. But just put your address in there and I'll send you a free copy of the book. My only ask is, once you do that, go and leave Ruben a review on iTunes for the podcast or wherever you think is best, Ruben. If you do those things, we'll give you a free copy. I'll cover the cost of the book and everything. And that way everybody wins here.
Perfect. Thank you. No, I'm sure some people are going to be rushing to grab that right away. It's an amazing book. One of my favorite books, honestly. So, by the way, I already know we're going to have to have you back on the show maybe in a couple months to talk about systems, because life-changing, and a lot of people, even when they're under 6 figures, need to start putting them in place. 100%. A lot of people have put them in place afterwards when it would have been better to put them in place before. So we're definitely going to have another episode on that. So you guys watch out for that. But awesome. Thank you for coming on today. This was incredible. I think a lot of people are going to be wanting so much more of this. So we'll be getting the book. We'll have some more stuff coming up in the future, but thank you for being on.
Absolutely, man. Hey, keep doing what you're doing, Ruben. Love it. Keep inspiring, and appreciate you.
Awesome. Bye for now, everybody. We'll chat with you guys soon.